All right, here we go. I think we are live.
All right.
Yeah, super excited for this one. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Misbah Faruqi, VP of Sales at TestMu AI, and I'll be your host for this session. Good to have you all with us. A couple of quick housekeeping notes before we dive in. This session is being recorded and will be shared on our YouTube channel afterwards. Post your takeaways on LinkedIn or on Twitter, X, I'll say. Tag us and use hashtag TestMuConf so the rest of the community can follow along. And hey, drop in a quick chat and let us know where you're joining from today. Always fun to see how far this community stretches. If you got a question during the session, go ahead and post them in the chat too. We'll take those forward towards the end. Now, to start us off, this is a topic I'm personally quite passionate about. Maybe I'm a little biased here. I've had the opportunity to partner closely with John and team over past few quarters and have seen firsthand how far ahead the Salesforce team is on this curve compared to the rest in the industry. So today we get to hear it again at enterprise scale, straight from someone who has seen it all. Joining us today, we have John Liang, Senior Director of Software Engineering at Salesforce. John has spent close to 20 years in quality engineering, which means he's basically seen every this changes everything moment in the industry, which has thrown been thrown at QA and lived to test another day. Today, he leads quality engineering for Salesforce Service Cloud, focused on quality and testing strategy as things shift from static to dynamic in the age of agentic software. So please join me welcoming John again as he dives deeper into the topic of testing at the speed of agent and Salesforce evolving approach to agentic testing. John, over to you.
All right. Thanks, Misbah. First of all, it's a pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited about this opportunity to be able to share our story with the industry. So let me share my screen. All right. Hopefully, everybody can see my screen. So today, I'm going to talk about how Salesforce and specifically my team, the engineering team for quality at Service Cloud, has been evolving our test approach for the agentic AI age. And for most of my career, testing has been pretty deterministic. But over the last few years, we have seen a lot of changes in this industry, in this space, right? Where we're seeing generative AI and we're seeing agentic AI, where things becomes much more dynamic and non-deterministic. And this is kind of our tale and our journey along this way. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share with you guys. Hopefully, you guys are able to glean something, learn something from our journey, maybe exchange ideas with us on how we can do things better as well. So very excited for this opportunity to be able to share this with everybody. So first of all, let me kind of give a quick caveat here. So I'm not a data scientist. So if there are any terminologies that I get wrong, please don't hold it against me. And let's get started. So um, as we know, conventional software, traditional software is pretty deterministic. It's very kind of a tried and true path where you have a known input, known output, and when something fails, it's a single component fail, a single feature fail, and you can easily trace down to where things went wrong. But that's not the case in the age of agentic and AI, where there are many, many valid paths and things can go wrong at different turns. Um, Things are dynamic. The outcome has a wide variety of range. There are many stateful journeys and workflows that you have to walk through. And when things fail, you lose trust, right? People lose trust. Your customers lose trust in your AI and your agent. And this is where things get interesting, especially for someone in our position where we're passionate about quality, right? How do we go and evolve from what we are used to in a deterministic testing world to this agentic world? And I want to share with you guys kind of how our team, my team at Salesforce, has been evolving our testing approaches over the last couple of years. I think back in 2024, when this generative AI trend really started to take off, we were releasing products that were also generative AI. And our focus at the time was, hey, let's make sure that the stuff that is being generated by our AI is accurate, right? And let's make sure we can measure the accuracy, the conciseness, the completeness of our generative AI. And then we kind of move into the real world application of our AI. As we started to get adoption in production with specific customers, we're realizing that there are real world implications of deploying these AI, and how do we kind of bridge this gap between testing these AI agents in a vacuum to getting an AI agent out there on production that can actually handle industry specific type of inquiries and stuff like that. And then over the second half of 2025, we move into more of an agentic age. This is where we started to really release products across multiple channels, being able to handle different modality, voice being a big part of it. And this is where our partnership with Misbah and his team on agent-to-agent testing solution really helped us change how we approach testing AI agents at scale as well. Lastly, this is kind of where we are today. We have kind of taken the lesson learned from the last couple of years and really packaged into a solution that we can also give to our customers, so they can have the same type of tools that we're using internally for our AI agent testing, and be able to use it in their own CI/CD in the form of Agentforce Studio. So this is kind of the agenda for today, and I'm going to dive into kind of each stage along the way. All right. So as I said, this is kind of our first phase of our journey, where we realize that we can't just rely on the results of the output that's generated by AI. We have to validate each step of the way. We have to understand the utterances. We have to make sure we clearly classify the different topics, that the plans that the AI agents are following are valid, that the AI agents are using the right tools, right actions to take actions for our customer, that they're leveraging the right information for grounding, and finally, the responses are concise, complete, accurate, and coherent. For each of the layers that we inspect, we make sure to use LLM as a judge, and we use this across different spectrums. And it is not a universal replacement for assertion, right? There are areas where you do need deterministic assertion. There are areas where you do need to validate the traces. You have to retrieve different type of metrics. You have to make sure that your goal has been actually completed. And an example of this would be, let's say you have an AI agent that is meant to help the customer book an appointment. Just because the conversation ended with the AI agent telling you that an appointment has been booked, you still have to go and make sure that it's actually booked and that is the right appointment. So this adds a lot of complexity to what we're used to, right? Where we have to both validate things are getting done, but also the AI agent is having the right kind of conversation with the customer and is able to handle customer inquiries in a variety of ways. And this is our kind of the second phase of our evolution. So as I mentioned earlier, our first phase of the evolution was simply to understand how to properly validate the AI agents that we have developed internally. But as we started to sell these AI agents to customers and the customers started deployment, we're realizing that there's a gap between what we have tested internally versus what the customer is actually using for. A good example here is when we partnered with Singapore Airlines back in 2024 and 2025. We realized that they have very specific industry terminologies that we were not accounting for. They have very specific inquiries from their customers that we're not accounting for. Some of their customers, for example, when they write an email to airline, they don't just ask about a single question they may have. They may have multiple questions that they try to ask airline to get resolutions on, and they in turn would need specific information from the customer. And this is where we realize that we really need to understand how different industries have different kind of customer flows, have different kind of channels, terminologies, and personas that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And last but not least is their proprietary and industry-specific domain knowledge and knowledge articles, and that we have to make sure that we leverage them in our internal testing as well. So one of the things that we did is that we started to build out these industry-specific test environments. We started to use AI to generate industry-specific customer flows and customer inquiries based on some of the customer cases that were provided to us from our customers. And then we generate these scenarios to simulate how the AI agent would respond and behave as they try to handle this kind of complex inquiries from real-world customers. I think this was kind of a wake-up moment for us, is that we kind of needed to realize the gap between testing an agent in a vacuum and understanding how these agents actually are going to be deployed and leveraged by our customer. And by understanding our customer needs, it also makes it easier for us to anticipate future needs of our customer and be able to build features that are, that can be delighting and help our customer be successful as they roll out these AI agents. And then we move into kind of the phase 3 of our evolution. This is where when we worked on this feature called Agentforce Voice, where we develop a native voice solution for our Salesforce channel and have an AI agent that is also a voice agent to help handle customer requests. So imagine this is a feature that gets deployed for help centers where a customer may call in and our AI agent, our voice AI agent, would be able to handle these kind of customer inquiries. This is where we realized that we needed to have an AI agent to test the AI agent that we have developed. Because you're going to be handling real world customers who are calling, and they may have different personas, they may have different backgrounds, they may be frustrated, they may be having specific questions that your AI agent is not equipped to handle. And having an AI agent to simulate these type of scenarios helps us understand the gap that we may have in our internal AI agent and be able to evaluate the gaps and be able to bridge these gaps before we release these AI agents to their customers. Some scenarios in this area includes, for example, you may have a customer that wants to book an appointment, but at the same time, they want to make updates to their account information. Um, this is where a single agent may not be able to handle these requests independently, and they would need to enlist the help of other AI agents that have other capabilities. This is where if we had a automated test internally using a programmatic way of trying to generate these scenarios, it's very hard, right? It's very hard to generate such a complex scenario where you're handling these type of complex and dynamic inquiries from a customer, right? Uh, think about the times when you would call in to a hotline. You wouldn't talk about just you're once you get an agent on the phone, what you want to do is you want to get all of your problems solved at the same time. Now, the AI agents may not be able to handle it that way, and we need to be able to test for these kind of complexity. This is where we partner with Misbah and his team to really leverage an AI agent-to-agent testing framework from Lambda tests to help us really come up with these dynamic scenarios and be able to test how our agent, how our AI agent is able to hand off specific requests to another AI agent and finally be able to evaluate whether the complex inquiries and requests from the customer was actually fully satisfied. As I said, single turn testing is not sufficient, and you may have a successful turn in your conversation with your customer, but the next inquiry from the exact same customer may have failed. And when that happens, your journey failed, right? You just because you have a successful completion to a specific inquiry doesn't mean you're done with your job. With test agents, we're able to understand the intent along the way, be able to dynamically change what we need to do, bring a different type of agent, and then that has different capabilities to help the customer solve their inquiry, and finally confirming that the customer is happy with the outcome of their inquiry, that those inquiries were successfully completed by the AI agent. As I said, voice introduced a lot of different type of variables. As we go through our journey in building out these voice agents, we understood that the ability for the AI agent to understand the accents, the background noises, and be able to properly transcribe the conversation, be able to think on the spot, hey, what is the customer trying to ask me here? What do I need to do? How do I bring the right information? How do I hand off to the right agent that can help the customer with their specific inquiry? How can I loop in the data from Salesforce to complete or surface information that the customer may be asking for, right? And is the customer frustrated? Is the customer patient? Have the customer interrupted the AI agent in its conversation, right? These are all things that are very unique in the voice channel, in the world of voice agent. And this is where I think we really learn a lot in understanding that this is something you need to have an AI agent that can help test your AI agent. Lastly, how does your AI agent operate at scale? What is the latency and how it responds to the customer? Is it still as accurate at high-low as compared to low and normal low? Is it able to recover if they run into an issue in the middle of the conversation? Does it escalate to the human agent correctly when it senses that it's not able to handle the customer inquiry. Being able to assess the quality of the agent, the quality of the system, and the experience of the actual human customer that's calling in. I think these are a lot of the lesson that we learned along the way. Lastly, this is kind of where we are today. We took all of these lessons that we learned along the way, and we folded these into our Agentforce studio, and we made them available to our customers. We have learned that the best way to make our customers successful is to provide them with the proper tools so that they can tune and customize their AI agents to suit their needs, right? With the latest release of Agentforce Studio, we have the ability to simulate different personas. We have the ability for our customers to have customer evals that they can use to evaluate outcome of their own AI agent. They can incorporate this into their CI/CD. They can use this to monitor the different steps and traces along the way, and be able to see a history of the runs of their AI agent, so that they can see how well it has performed over time, whether specific changes to their prompt tuning has changed the accuracy or the response of their AI agent. So by making these tools available to our customers and sharing the lesson learned along the way, I think this is kind of the final evolution that we are at today. Is make sure that what we have learned, we're able to share it with our customers as well. All right, so to recap, these are kind of the lesson that we learned along the way over the last 2 years as we embarked on this agentic AI journey. Deterministic tests are still very important, right? It's not like determinist tests are artifacts of the age past anymore. You just need to augment them with the proper tools to make sure that they're still relevant, right? Adding evaluations along the way, adding agentic tests along the way is is the way that you get the kind of the best of both worlds and be able to test across multiple different kind of situations. Don't just test for responses, right? Make sure you validate steps and outcomes along the way. Make sure that your AI agent is completing what it claimed to have completed, and that along the way, your AI agent did not divulge information that is not supposed to. Did not claim that it's able to do what it's not supposed to do. Those are all very important things that that we need to keep in mind. This is the important part. You got to have a environment that is representative of real world situation. It has to be part of your testing architecture. You have to bake in your real world scenarios from the get go. Otherwise, you run into situations where you think you've done a good job, but as you deploy these AI agents into real world, you're realizing that there is still a gap between what you're assuming versus what the customers are actually using. Industry language and grounded data. This is super important. Different industries have different ways of handling their customers, handling their specific verbiage, and being able to understand what those nuances are can make a big difference. Using AI to help you expand your scenarios and monitor quality. This is the way to scale, right? If we were left with only using manually testing these AI agents across different channels, it's not going to scale. By leveraging these test agents, we're really able to effectively scale, to hundreds and thousands of concurrent calls, and be able to monitor the quality of our calls and quality of our voice agents at those high scales. Make sure that you make these evaluations as part of your CI/CD and not just a last thing to check before we release to a customer, right? your AI agent can have fluctuation in their accuracy, fluctuation in how they respond throughout your software development lifecycle. Being able to put these eval and test for these evals in your CI/CD on a regular basis is the best way to ensure that your AI agent is always performing at the at the peak of its quality and accuracy. All right, so this is kind of our new quality loop these days, right? With Agentic AI, it really changed, the unit under test, as we know, right? It is now a much more dynamic customer journey, and it spans across different tools, different data, different language, and different operations. Dynamic tests is a thing of the future now, but that does not mean deterministic tests cease to exist. You got to make sure you have the proper tests for what you need. You need to make sure that you always have realistic environments. You need to make sure that you have the ability to generate scenarios based on your customer data, based on your customers' use cases. Evaluate, observe, enrich your data. This is kind of a really healthy cycle, right? A feedback loop to ensure that you can properly release your AI agents for your customers. So the big takeaway here is, we design the systems, right? But let AI test the system for you. This is how we can really scale our quality approach in this agentic AI future. And that's it for my presentation. Thanks, everybody. I hope you guys learned something. And Misbah, I think it's time for a little bit Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. Really valuable, and really liked how you framed that. Shift from testing AI in isolation to testing in a real customer environment, right? Specifically for voice and multi-agent workflows. And definitely time for Q&A. I do see ton of questions, which was expected, but we'll pick a couple of them in the interest of time. So put the one on screen. So the question is, what surprised you most? Something agents were unexpectedly bad at. This is a question by Gisela Flores.
Yeah, this is a very good question. I think what surprised me the most is AI agents sometimes, even when you ground it with the right data, it sometimes is still not able to give you the proper response you expect, and a lot of it is because of the way that the way that we do chunking the knowledges, right? You could feel like I designed this agent with the right prompt and feed it with the right knowledge article. Why is it not finding the right answer I'm looking for? And that was kind of the real world scenarios we ran into as we were deploying these agents for some of our airline customers. Is that they give us feedback that is simply not able to find the right article among similar articles, right? I think that's where we see a lot of failure from AI agents, is that it's able to find a lot of similar right articles, but it's not able to accurately find the article that is intuitive to us as human beings. That we're able to glean information from articles, say, oh, this is the most relevant. It should be this one, even though there are other similar articles. I think sometimes it is much easier for humans to be able to make that judgment call. But surprisingly, this is something that the agents are not able to do accurately and I would say consistently as well.
We have a next question by Swati, and in the interest of time, just picking their one. The question is, how do you see TestMu AI's agent to agent working alongside Agentforce Studio for voice agent testing?
So, very good question. I would say today, Agentforce Studio is still not a it's still not a tool that you can run at scale, right? It's good for you to test for your changes internally, but I think what Lambda test agent is able to help us do is to do this kind of testing at scale, right? For example, we're able to do accuracy testing at scales of thousands of concurrent calls and be able to monitor whether the AI agent is able to continue to fulfill those requests, complex requests, right? Complex turn-by-turn requests from our customers at scale, and be able to monitor whether things have degraded, whether things have deviated from our quality bar, right? I think this is where we still need to do better on, and internally for our Agentforce studio is to get to a point where customers can reliably run these at scale for monitoring their own AI agent.
Got it. I'll just take the last question. I know we're up against time, but this is this is around how do you measure agent accuracy at scale, handling a real customer volume? I think this is like one of the topics I think we've been talking about, but
Yeah.
yeah, real
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. So obviously you're not going to try to make 5,000 real concurrent calls at the same time. What we would do is we would simulate the call volume with virtual calls, but then we would pick maybe 50 to 60 of the actual calls that are done by these real agent calls, and then the good thing with the Lambda test agent is that it's able to test for all those different aspects that we care about, right? Accuracy, conciseness, completeness, the tone, and the quality of the voice itself, right? Background noises, able to simulate all that. So I think with this tool, that's how we've been able to do it.
Fantastic. There are more questions, but I'll leave it for now. But thank you so much, John, for sharing all the wisdom and knowledge about agentic testing. This was very engaging. And thanks everybody for joining. Let's keep the conversation going on social media. Tag us and share your takeaways with the hashtag TestMuConf. And we also have our partner who's our sponsor. So don't miss to contest. We have got it running through by the conference for rest of the 2 days as well. And happy testing and enjoy the rest of the TestMu conference, everybody. And thanks again, John.
Thanks, everybody.